Heading to Yale right now. Tense moments on campus there this morning as well.
Yeah, police removed the student encampment, giving protesters a final warning to get rid of their tents. Channel 3's Dylan Fearon is in New Haven with more on this developing situation.
Of course, students are aggravated, determined, and passionate. There was plenty of chanting today, yelling, even booing at police. But even so, it still went as smooth as it could have gone this morning, given the circumstances. Police gave the final warning. All of the protesters complied. Police removed all of the tents, which is near dorms, libraries, and classrooms where students are getting ready for final exams. Students continued protesting on the sidewalk, but no one was arrested. Eventually, the protesters left, but many said they'd be back tomorrow. They are demanding Yale stop investing money in companies which manufacture military weapons.
Yale, as a university, refuses to disclose that information to students, to community members who are, investing time, resources. They work here. There's students paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in tuition to come to Yale, and there's no transparency from Yale in terms of their financial investments, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Protesters rejected an offer by a Yale dean negotiating with students. The offer was to meet with Yale officials if students were compliant with school policies, but we're told students voted and declined, saying a meeting wouldn't be productive since Yale refuses to release information about financial investments. In New Haven, I'm Dylan Fearon, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.